In this class, we're going to focus on how to solve quadratic equation using the factorization method. Okay, let's start with the first question. We are asked to find the value of x in this quadratic equation, 12x squared minus 5x minus 2. 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 equals to 0. Okay, now how do we solve for the value of x in this quadratic equation? You can see that in this quadratic equation, the a is not unity, you understand? That is, the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So how do we go about this? The first step is that we have to take the product of a and c, you understand? In this quadratic equation, a is equals to 12, b equals to negative 5, and c equals to negative 2, you understand? All this we've discussed in our previous class, you understand? So now we first have to take the product of a and c. So a multiplied by c equals to 12 multiplied by negative 2, which is negative 24, you understand? Okay, now having taken the product of a and c, we have to determine two numbers, you understand? We have to think of two numbers such that the product of these two numbers must be equals to negative 24 and the sum of these two numbers must be equals to negative 5. Okay, negative 5 is b and negative 24 is the product of a and c, you understand? So what are those two numbers that if I take their product, that is, if I multiply these two numbers together, I will have negative 24, and if I sum these two numbers together, I'm going to have negative 5. I want you to take for some moment. These two numbers is negative 8 and 3, you understand? Negative 8 and 3. Now, take for instance, negative 8 and 3. Let us try this. Negative 8 multiplied by 3, that will give us what? Negative 24, correct? Negative 8 plus 3, that will give us what? Negative 5, correct? You can see now. So the two numbers that we need is negative 8 and plus 3, you understand? Now, having known these two numbers, the next step is that we are going to replace the two, we are going to replace b is negative 5. We are going to replace b, which is negative 5, by the sum of these two numbers, you understand? Because by the time we sum these two numbers, we got b, which is negative 5. So instead of writing b in our quadratic equation now, we are going to replace these two numbers by negative 8 and 3. You understand? We are going to replace negative 5 as negative 8 and 3. Do you understand? So our quadratic equation now becomes 12x squared. Now, instead of minus 5, we are going to replace it with negative 8 plus 3. So I'm going to have into bracket negative 8 plus 3 into bracket x. Do you understand? Okay, minus 2 equals to 0. Now, here I'm going to open the bracket using the x. I'm going to have 12x squared minus 8x plus 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Do you understand? Okay, so here I'm going to separate this quadratic equation into two parts. The first part will be the first two parts. The first two parts is 12x squared and negative 8x. And the second part is plus 3x and negative 2. So now I'm going to factorize each part. You understand? Now, what is the factor of 12x squared? Common factor now. Are you paying attention? The common factor of 12x squared and negative 8x. What is the common factor? The common factor here is 4x. You understand? Hello, listen. The common factor of 12x squared and negative 8x is what? 4x. So I'm going to have 4x into bracket. Now, that will be, I'm going to have 3x minus 2. And the reason is because anytime if I take the common factor of 12x squared and negative 3x as 4x, if I multiply this bracket, I must result into 12x squared and negative 8x. You understand? 4x times 3x, 12x squared. 4x times negative 2, that is negative 8x. You can see now. Okay, now let's proceed to the second part of this bracket. We have plus 3x and negative 2. What is the common factor of plus 3x and negative 2? The common factor there is plus 1. You understand? So here I'm going to have plus 1 into bracket 3x minus 2. This one is simple because if I take the product of 1 and 3x minus 2, I'm still going to have this. Do you see now? So here I'm going to have equals to 0. Do you understand? If you didn't understand, reverse the video and listen to the explanation again. Okay? Now, having gotten here, we are going to sum the common factor together. The common factor of this bracket is 4x, and the common factor of this bracket is plus 1. So I'm going to have 4x plus 1 equals to 0. You understand? Now, you can see that the value that we have in this bracket is the same as the value that we have in this bracket. So I'm going to have 1, I'm going to take 1, which is 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Now, we have gotten here. What will be the value of x? 4x equals to negative 1, because if this plus 1 crosses the equals to sign to the other side of the equation, the sign is going to change to negative. Do you understand? So for this, I'm going to have 4x equals to negative 1. Divide both sides by 4. Here I'm going to have x equals to negative 1 over 4. Okay. For the second part, we have 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Okay. For this, I'm going to have 3x equals to, if this negative 2 crosses the equals to sign to the right hand side of the equation, I'm going to have plus 2. So there's no need of putting plus, equals to 2. Divide both sides by 3. This over 3. X equals to 2 all over 3. You can see now, so the root of this quadratic equation, 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 equals to 0, is negative 1 over 4 and 2 over 3 respectively. Do you understand? So that is the first question. Let us deal with another question. We have to find the value of x in the quadratic equation 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. 3x squared plus 14x plus 8 equals to 0. Okay? Now you can see that in this quadratic equation as well, the coefficient of x squared is not unity, that is, it is not 1. Hence, I'm going to take the product of the first term and the constant term in this quadratic equation. So I'm going to have a multiplied by c equals to 3 multiplied by 8. 8 times 3 is equals to 24. You understand? Okay? So having taken the product of a and c, we need a number such that if we multiply these two, we need two numbers. Think of two numbers such that if we take the product of these two numbers, we are going to have 24. And if we add these two numbers together, we are going to have 14. What are those two numbers? Think for a moment. You understand? I'm going to use some seconds to think. Okay, if you get it right, the two numbers are 12 and 2. You understand? 12 and 2. Let's try it. 12 and 2. 12 and 2. 12 multiplied by 2 equals to 24. You understand? And 12 plus 2 equals to what? 14. You understand? So that means that the two numbers that we need is 12 and 2. You understand? So for this, I'm going to have 3x squared. So I'm going to replace the second term, which is 14. The second term is 14. Okay? I'm going to replace the second term by 12 plus 2. You understand? Like we did for the previous example. Okay? So I'm going to have 3x squared into bracket plus 12 plus 2 into bracket x plus 8 equals to 0. You understand? Okay, I'm going to have 3x squared plus 12x plus 2x plus 8 equals to 0. Okay, now I'm going to separate this quadratic equation into two. Okay, so that I can factorize it. Okay, now what is the common factor of 3x squared and plus 12x? The common factor is 3x. Okay, so I'm going to have 3x into bracket x plus 4. Okay, now for the second part, what is the common factor between 2x and 8? The common factor is plus 2. You understand? So I'm going to have plus 2 into bracket x plus 4. This will be equals to 0. You understand? Okay, now having gotten the common factor, I'm going to sum the common factor and set it equals to 0. The common factor of the first bracket is 3x, and that of the second bracket is what? Plus 2. So I'm going to have 3x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay? And I'm going to take one of these brackets. Now, let me give you an hint. Anytime you get to this point and you factorize this quadratic equation, when you factorize it, what you have in this bracket must be the same with what you are going to have in this bracket. So if by the time you factorize yours, maybe you are doing exam, know that this must be equals to this. If you didn't have the same answer, that means something is wrong. You have to cross-check. You understand? Okay? So I'm going to take one of these brackets. Here, I'm going to have x plus 4 also equals to 0. Now, here I'm going to have 3x equals to negative 2, because if this positive 2 crosses the equals to sign, the sign is going to change to negative 2. So divide both by 3, divide both by 3. X equals to negative 2 over 3. Now, for this, I'm going to have x equals to, if this positive 4 crosses the equals to sign to the other side of the equation, it's going to change to negative 4. So x is equals to negative 2 or negative 3. Negative 2 over 3 or negative 4. Those are the values that that satisfy the quadratic equation 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. Do you understand? Okay? If you have any question regarding this, let me know in the comment section. And for the next class, we are going to deal with how to solve quadratic equation using the completing the square method. I'm very sure you won't want to miss the class, so please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you have any question regarding this, let me know in the comment section. Okay, see you in the next class.